Shemai Croeso, welcome to this edition of our Lectio and discussions on the Gospel of Philip. In a moment, we are going to read a passage. I'll give you the reference from this version of the Gospel. It is the translation by Jean-Yves, and it is the version we've been using in all of these discussions. And the Lectio will be based on page 83 and 84, numbers 55 to 58. But before the Lectio, I'm going to read, by way of a preamble, an earlier section. If you want to follow this by reading as you listen, then that will be page 63, numbers 31, or Logion 31 to 34. We've come to a place in our discussions now where soon we will be entering one of the major themes of the gospel, the bridal chamber. Our discussion today, based on the texts that I have just given you, is both independent of that, but also will form some kind of basis on which further discussion will come as we look at that theme. Certain themes of the kiss, the breath, and the interchange of spirit come through the readings that we have today. So I will read the preamble slowly before introducing the Lectio practice. Those who are nourished by the word which comes to the mouth go toward their own realization. The realized human is fertilized by a kiss and is born through a kiss. This is why we kiss each other, giving birth to each other through the love, charis, also grace, that is in us. There were three who always walked with the Lord: Mary, his mother, the sister of his mother, and Miriam of Magdala, known as his companion, koinonos. For him, Miriam is a sister, a mother, and a wife, koinonos. Father and son are simple, aplus, names. The breath is a double, diplus, name. for it is everywhere, above, below, in the visible, in the invisible. Spirit, pneuma, becomes manifest when descending and unmanifest when ascending. The saints make use of harmful powers. These powers are blinded by the breath to believe that they are using it, whereas they are working for the saints. One day, a disciple asked the teacher a question about the state of the world. He answered him, "Ask your mother. She will speak to you of what is other, allotrion." And so we come now to the Lectio Divina practice. Each of us will read the passage which in Jean Leloux's book is page 83 and 84, Logion 55 to 58. It's 83 and 85, actually. The Greek is on page 84. Let's take a moment to connect with the breath. In Lectio Divina practice, we take in the words into our heart space, descending from mind to heart, into the temple space, where they may be contemplated. By the soul, breathing in, I know I'm breathing in. Breathing out, I know I'm breathing out. The wisdom, Sophia, thought to be sterile, Stira, is the mother of angels. The companion, Koinonos, of the Son is Miriam of Magdala. The teacher loved her more than all the disciples. He often kissed her on the mouth. When the disciples saw how he loved Miriam, they asked him, "Why do you love her more than us?" The teacher answered, "How can it be that I do not love you as much as I love her? When a blind man and one who sees are both in the dark, there is no difference between them. But when they both come into the light, one sees it, and the other remains in darkness." The teacher said, "Blessed are those who are before existing. For those who are, were, and will be." The superiority of human beings is not apparent. It is a secret. This is why they can dominate animals who are bigger and stronger than they in appearance. For it is they who allow the animals to survive. If humans abandon the animals, they bite and kill each other. They eat each other because they lack food. But now that humans cultivate the earth, they find food.
The wisdom, Sophia, thought to be sterile, Stira, is the mother of angels. The companion, Koinonos, of the Son is Miriam of Magdala. The teacher loved her more than all the disciples. He often kissed her on the mouth. When the disciples saw how he loved Miriam, they asked him, "Why do you love her more than us?" The teacher answered, "How can it be that I do not love you as much as I love her? When a blind man and one who sees are both in the dark, there is no difference between them. But when they both come into the light, one sees it and the other remains in darkness." The teacher said, "Blessed are those who are before existing. For those who are, were, and will be." The superiority of human beings is not apparent, it is a secret. This is why they can dominate animals who are bigger and stronger than they in appearance, for it is they who allow the animals to survive. If humans abandon the animals, they bite and kill each other. They eat each other because they lack food. that now that humans cultivate the earth, they find food.
The wisdom, Sophia, thought to be sterile, Stira, is the mother of angels. The companion or wife, Kononos, of the Son is Miriam of Magdala. The teacher loved her more than all the disciples. He often kissed her on the mouth. When the disciples saw how he loved Miriam, they asked him, "Why do you love her more than us?" The teacher answered, "How can it be that I do not love you as much as her?" When a blind man and one who sees are both in the dark, there is no difference between them. But when they both come into the light, one sees it and the other remains in darkness. The teacher said, "Blessed are those who are before existing, for those who are, were, and will be." The superiority of human beings is not apparent, it is a secret. This is why they can dominate animals who are bigger and stronger than they are in appearance, for it is they who allow the animals to survive. If humans abandon the animals, they bite and kill each other. They eat each other because they lack food. But now that humans cultivate the earth, they find food.
Viv, Joe, and I are now going to discuss the reading that we've just shared in the Lectio Divina. We haven't rehearsed this, so we are responding to it, just as you will be responding to it, either as you sit in contemplation after this video, or if you join us for the extended discussion on the 15th of November at 9:30. If you'd like to join us for this, then please contact us through the website. We'll put details of that underneath this video or next to it. So having chosen this time the reading, the part of the gospel for us to concentrate on, I would like to start at the end of what we've just read, because there is so much in the reading. But at first glance, this part about the animals and the humans can be quite troubling, quite misleading, because depending on our own time and place, our own education, be that through our schools or through our particular churches or whatever it is, we have probably received this idea of human beings having dominion over creation. Not, I feel, a particularly accurate or helpful interpretation of Hebrew scripture. The sense of Hebrew scripture for me, the creation stories and so on, the stories of the prophets and of the Israelites, are a story of ongoing enlightenment. But with the teaching really to be in harmony with nature. Nature is God's revelation of God's love, of what Jesus called the way. I am the way, the truth, and the life. I am the way. The way is love. The way is harmony, respect, cherishing of each other, of creation, of God, our source. So the teaching here in Philip about the animals, I don't feel should be understood in terms of having dominion over creation, subjecting animals. It is a spiritual teaching about the human, the becoming human. We are created human, but we are becoming human. And there need be no separation between human and divine. These separations are separations of language and thought generated by our brains and the brains of others. The animals perhaps represent the programs in our minds, the responses to the fear of not knowing or the fear of being vulnerable, of not being able to control. And so the animals themselves are programs for happiness, as Thomas Keating might call them. They are the competing voices of insecurity masquerading as security. Just read that part once again. The superiority of human beings is not apparent, it is secret. The human being is our true being, our true self. It's what we are becoming, what we are in our essence, how we are born. It is secret. We can only know our true self through contemplation, through coming to the silence, where we bring our whole self, all the animals of our mind, and bring all of it to the feeding. Without this, the animals of our mind eat each other. They eat each other because they lack food, but now the humans cultivate the earth. They find food. it is not about destroying the animals. And having that kind of power dominion over them. It is about bringing them in love to the feeding, to the source, to the living water, to the breath, to the kiss. So there is no need for them to be eating each other because they are fed with truth. So I leave that there because there's so much for us to talk about. But of course, as we talk, the three of us speak with each other now. We won't speak for too long because it's your dialogue with the text.
Yes, I have to admit that this passage was the most troubling part to me. And then it reminded me of Teresa of Avila in the interior castle when she talks about the vipers. And then immediately I saw, yes, this is the ego. This is the process of facing and integrating the shadow, all those parts of ourselves that take us away from truth and love.
Step over the vipers, isn't it? Step over the vipers of your mind, says Teresa.
Yes, I'm really glad that you began with this passage because I was slightly repelled by it for the reasons which you've just said, Viv. But I think it's the word cultivate the earth which keyed me into. But now that humans cultivate the earth, like cultivating the heart, so now that we pay attention to our breath and our hearts, as you said, Tim, our egos can become integrated within us, and instead of having to be in conflict, parts of ourselves in conflict. So and we're all nourished together, all parts of ourselves. Yeah.
And it's another answer to, or a further development of the answer to the question, why do you love her more than us?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It's a switch in
ego,
image.
of course, isn't it? The fear-filled ego. Why do you love her more than us?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, it's the switch in imagery, isn't it? Which is confusing to start with, but it's a continuation of what he's saying, isn't it?
Yes, and it's arresting. You know,
yes, it is.
You think,
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
But it actually takes you deeper into the process of getting to blessed are those who are before existing, etc.
Yes, yeah.
That's really important, isn't it? Blessed are those who are before existence. It reminds me again of the Gospel of Thomas. The disciples, what do they say? How's it all going to end? And Jesus says, well, have you found the beginning yet that you're asking about the end? The one who stands at the beginning will not be overcome by death, because the one who stands at the beginning knows the end. Mary, the one who they're saying, or why do you love her more than us? Well, he speaks of the blind, doesn't he? How the blind and the seeing brought into the light. And Mary is, we know her from the synoptic gospels and from the Gospel of John, particularly the Gospel of John, as the one who sits and in silence and listens. And she's there. That contrast with Martha, isn't there? Where Martha is worrying about stuff and doing stuff, kind of projecting into the future. Oh, is the master going to be happy now? Is he going to have enough to eat and all of this stuff? But she's in the present moment, sitting, listening. And so, yeah, it's not like, he says, well, how can I love her more than you? It's not about that. It's just look, her eyes are opening, and so she appears to receive more from this kissing, this exchange of breath. It's a bit more than that, isn't it?
I read that line slightly differently. He doesn't, to me, he doesn't answer how can I love her more than you. He says, how can it be that I do not love you as much as I love her?
Yeah.
There's the potential there.
Yeah.
For them to be like her.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah. I think you're right, Joe. He's trying to open the eyes of those egos which are hurting because, oh, you love her more than us. What about me? So he's trying to open the eyes through even that cloud. I better be careful, because the cloud of unknowing helps us to open our eyes, but the cloud of, just egoic reaction. Yeah.
Yes, and he takes that on, doesn't he, with the superiority of human beings is not apparent, it's a secret. It's sort of, you don't understand yet.
But it can be understood. It's not like a secret, oh, we're going to keep this from you, that kind of secret.
No.
It's a secret because it is mystery. And it is in the heart space rather than the intellect that we receive. Yeah. So what about this kiss and the breath?
I just like to follow what touches me.
Yeah.
And there is something there is something hugely intimate about this passage of the teacher loving Miriam more than all the other disciples, and often kissing her on the mouth. And in your preamble, Tim, Father and Son are simple names. The breath is a double name, for it is everywhere, above, below, in the invisible, in the visible. Spirit becomes manifest when descending and unmanifest when ascending. That seems to me to be an amazing picture of what's happening when Jesus kisses Miriam, of that kind of that transmission of breath, transmission of what is at the beginning. And the wisdom thought to be sterile is the mother of angels. There's something amazing about that. The wisdom thought to be sterile because it's just one, I guess. is actually the mother of angels. It's that the virgin silence again, that actually, so this breath which comes in the kiss, which is the breath of unity, which is then creative. And I don't know what else to say. It's maybe it's in that business about the three who always walked with the Lord: the mother, the sister, the wife. The mother, the sister, the wife. That this a coupling, as it were, through the breath, through the kiss, with the wife, with the sister, also makes her a mother somehow. Also is.
For me, that interchange between the manifestation and the unmanifest, the descending of the breath to manifest and the ascension returning to non-manifestation. Manifestation comes from the non-manifest, from the source. But it's not two realities. There are one reality in the breath. The spirit is bringing the two. Is like, yeah, this is the trouble, isn't it, with trying to put into words, which in them, they've been trying to put into words something that is met in that secret, I suppose. That's why the word secret has been used. It's as if we just haven't got the language. Language is an incredible thing, and we can construct it and deconstruct it, but it doesn't allow us to really speak of reality. Of even the word reality is not real, is it? It's just a metaphor.
And it's why Jesus says so often, those who have ears to hear, let them hear. It's because it's beyond the manifest. It's hearing it in the heart or the soul or both or whatever.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. Because even Jesus is not finding the literal words, as he's speaking through metaphor, through
except
parables and so on, stories.
Except to Mary. Sorry.
And Ephatha, isn't it? Ephatha, open, be open. And then you can, it almost kind of negates our purpose here to discuss, doesn't it?
I suppose I was thinking with the kiss, that is beyond image then, isn't it? It's an image that we're given here, but if you're in an inner state to receive, then that's a pretty simple matter, isn't it? I mean, to open, Ephatha, to open to the transmission. There's something about the superiority of human beings. That word human in our Sufi practice, we have that. It always strikes me about that combination of who, the ineffability of the divine, and man, the human being. That to be who man. to be in that state of receiving the kiss.
Yeah.
Mm.
Could you explain that who a little bit more? Because I know that Israt Khan, I've forgotten how to say his name now. What's his name?
Hazrat Inayat Khan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He talks about that sound, doesn't he, as being the fundamental sound of the abstract sound.
Yes. Yes.
Or the universal sound.
Yes.
And there's somewhere he talks about, you have to evolve quite a long way before you can hear it. Part of the journey is to get to a place where you can hear the universal sound and therefore become anthropos, the whole man, the real human being.
Mm-hmm. Mm. Which is in this gospel, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mm.
And then it's notable, I think, that when Hazrat Inayat Khan submitted to the sound, though he was a really renowned musician who used music to speak, really, of all of this that we cannot speak of, he stopped playing music then, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
So once enlightened, he stopped doing the very thing that he was apparently almost kind of blessed to do.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Returning to silence, I suppose.
I can't remember that. I can remember, a passage where in the biography, where he says how much he was devoted to music, but he gave it up.
Mm.
But in the facts of his life, he gave it up in order to spread his message in words.
I see.
Yeah.
So but I can't remember the the full passage of that.
That's what I remember too.
Mm.
Yeah, it was to concentrate on conveying a message in words.
I see.
Mm-hmm.
But I still think Tim's onto so. I think there's probably more symbolic meaning in it. But that's not what we're talking about.
No, but I think it's linked to it.
Yeah.
And it's also, I think it's linked to our discussions, because we know that when we discuss the text, as we have done on other occasions and will continue to do so, there's nothing definitive about the discussion itself. No. We can't put a hold on the words that we're reading, and they themselves have not put a hold on the reality. And whoever wrote the original Gospel of Philip, before it was translated into any other language, also did not have a hold on the reality.
Mm-hmm.
And Hazrat Inayat Khan's giving up of music may, for me, be partly an acceptance on his part that music itself and the virtuoso ability that he had is quite easily caught up within the egoic manifestation. But having heard the abstract sound, having heard the who in all things, there was no need for that music to be played anymore, because the music itself is the music. The who is the music. It's the universal music. And so then maybe the use of words then was just to try to communicate through linguistic metaphors back to the sound. It's why do we do what we do? Why do we speak of what we speak of? Why do I, as a priest, engage with people through any form of manifestation, when what we are trying to speak of is really unmanifest, but in a dance with the manifest?
It's secret.
It's secret. We're trying to open the secret, aren't we? We're trying to open it, but we can't say, here it is. Oof.
Mm-hmm.
All we can say is, let's be silent together, really. Let's come to stillness, focus on the breath, and come into the presence.
Open to the kiss.
Open to the kiss.
Mm.
Yeah.
Sorry, we cut this bit out because I just
yeah, definitely.
forgot that there was 55.
Talking about our dogs and stomachs.
Yes.
Which could be relevant, actually.
I think probably is.
Yeah.